So without further ado, I'd like to say really just 1 or 2 more minutes to introduce our speaker, and then our talk for this evening will begin. Ruth Abrams grew up in the Cleveland area and is a graduate of Beechwood High School and Oberlin College. She earned her Ph.D. in comparative history at Brandeis University in 1997, wrote her dissertation on Jewish women in the feminist movement at the turn of the 20th century. She has wide-ranging expertise. She has wide-ranging experience as a Jewish educator and expertise, including 4 years teaching Judaic studies at the University of Massachusetts, work with children in religious schools and adult education programming in synagogues. Ruth is the managing editor at interfaithfamily.com. It's a website up here right now. Among her duties is to write and edit how-to materials on Jewish life for people in interfaith families, including the famous Jewish holiday cheat sheet. She solicits and edits contributions of other authors on interfaith family issues for the website. She lives in Somerville, Massachusetts with her husband Ben Greenberg and her son Aaron as an active member of Havarat Shalom. The title of Dr. Abrams' talk this evening, The Many Faces of Interfaith Families, Past, Present, and Future. Dr. Ruth Abrams.
I have in my notes to remember to say hello and not just start talking. Good evening. I'm really happy to be here. So, I'm going to check what time it is. So I'm Ruth Abrams, and I'm the managing editor of interfaithfamily.com. So I'm going to explain what that is before I just launch into everything I have to tell you. We're a Jewish nonprofit. We're national, although obviously we're on the web, so we're international. And we're based in Boston. And we serve interfaith couples and families, and some other groups like Jews by Choice and adoptive parents, and I'll explain why that is. And we serve them with Jewish resources. We also advocate for the Jewish community to be more inclusive of these families. The main thing we do is provide resources on the internet, and I'm going to talk a lot about them because I want people to use them. That way we can reach people without their having to leave their houses. They're not embarrassed. They don't go into a public space and have to ask questions. They can ask the questions at home and then go and check things out. So that's one reason why we do it this way. We were started as a project of Jewish Family and Life in 1998, but Edmund Case, who is still our CEO today, became the executive director and established us as an independent organization, an independent 501c3 in 2001. And I joined the staff as an online editor and a managing editor in 2007. So I've been around for a while. Some of the things on the site predate me, though I'm on the site a lot. As the managing editor, I do a lot of writing, and I also solicit other people for writing. Sometimes I corner them in the supermarket and hand them a business card. You're an interfaith family, and I know you know how to write. You can take a look on the site. I'm going to show off the site a little bit. If you're curious about who funds us and what we do, you can find it on the website. It's all out there. And again, I really hope you look at it when you go home. We don't take a position on what everyone in an interfaith family should do to be Jewish. We want them, that's our base thing, we want them to make Jewish choices, but we don't specify what those are, and we don't take a position on what everyone in the Jewish community should do to be inclusive. We have a lot of ideas and best practices that are on the site and we talk about, but we don't have a single model that we want everyone to fit into. We want to get a broad picture of a lot of models. When you go on our site, you'll see that a lot of our stories, maybe 70% of the stories, are essays by people from interfaith families about their lives. And we try to show all different kinds of families who take all different kinds of approaches, and not to put out only one approach, because we want to be inclusive of everybody. And we don't think everybody should do everything in the same way. And I'm saying that explicitly, and I'll probably say it again, because when I talk about some of the approaches that we think people should take, people are like, oh no, I don't want to do that. Okay, don't do it, it's fine. So this is the baseline, this is what we have in interfaith family. So let me talk for a little while about what's the state of interfaith marriage in the Jewish community why it's an issue, and what the issue is. So, as you know, if you are in the Jewish community, Jews don't proselytize and don't have a tradition of marrying people who are not Jewish. And part of that is because there's Jewish marriage is under Jewish law, and if you have somebody who's not subject to Jewish law, then they can't enter into a Jewish contract, and Jewish marriage is a contract. And there are lots of other reasons too. And so, for the longest time, Jewish people really had a strong tradition of not marrying non-Jews. And this has changed in the United States since the 1970s, since I was a kid. In 1970, when they did the National Jewish Population Survey, the interfaith marriage rate among Jews was about 17%. And when they did another study in 2000, they found that the Jewish intermarriage rate was something like 47% of people entering marriages were marrying non-Jews. The approach that the Jewish community always took to this problem was to try to deter people from intermarrying by being really mean to people who had intermarried. And when they realized how many people were intermarrying anyway, they began to think that perhaps this was not the right approach. So this website is part of a movement to try something different and see what might happen if you tried to integrate and retain interfaith families. In the country as a whole, probably about a third of Jewish people who are married to someone who's not Jewish. We're not totally sure. This is where I was in the story and I read history documents. These are all sociology. I'm a little bit skeptical about sociology, even though it's like the basis of everything. You know, I'm like, oh, they took a survey, how many people were involved? I don't know, you know. But the Pew Forum on Religion and Public Life did a survey that came out in March of 2008. And they surveyed all different kinds of people, not only Jews. And of the Jews that they surveyed, about a third responded that they were in interfaith marriages. So this means that, number one, probably a lot of interfaith marriages ended in divorce, because that used to be true, although I'm not sure if it's going to continue to be true. And also, probably, a lot of people who entered interfaith marriages, the non-Jewish partner converted to Judaism. The Pew study also found that everyone in the country is changing religions at a much faster rate than anybody imagined. Everybody Jewish, everybody Christian, that they move to different religions a lot more fluidly than they thought. So a lot more people are choosing Judaism than you would expect. And another piece that they found was that the Jewish community was a lot older. The Jewish respondents were a lot older than the other people. And Jews have the second lowest rate of interfaith marriage. The lowest rate of interfaith marriage in the United States is Hindus, so we're number 2. So even though you might think, oh my God, half of Jews are intermarrying, it's still much less than other groups do. And what that means is that when a non-Jewish person marries into a Jewish family and the Jewish family is upset, they might not have a cultural context to understand why that is. Because they don't feel upset when people in their family intermarry to other groups. A 2005 survey by Hillel, the Foundation for Jewish Campus Life, found that 48% of the college students who consider themselves Jewish come from intermarried homes.